Yeah, there's just a few things I wanted to say. I just woke up and I was watching the news about these Chechen brothers, and they caught the second one yesterday. There's just getting on the internet and watching that. I noticed everybody talking about this big gunfight that this kid was in with the cops. I just want to bring your attention to a few things. Number one is they played the police scanner, and what you hear is you hear a lot of gunshots coming from the cops. And another cop issues the order, hold your fire. He says, multiple shots fired, hold your fire. If the multiple shots fired were coming from this kid, there's no cop who's going to tell the cops to hold their fire. They would have obliterated him. Instead, what you do see is you see a lot of bullet holes in the boat that he was in. This means that the cops were shooting at him. Now, you may say to yourself, well, who cares? I mean, this guy's a terrorist. This shift in public consciousness, where we've already determined that this kid is for sure the terrorist. Um, I mean, for all we know, his brother was the terrorist. I mean, let's just say that narrative is true. Um, so far, we don't know any of the evidence. We're being told things by the media, who's been getting things wrong from the start and who is constantly citing quote unquote anonymous law enforcement sources. Well, anonymous law enforcement sources, for those of you who don't know and aren't related to cops, um, usually means a cop heard from another cop who heard from another cop, and this cop wants to spill the beans to the media. It doesn't in any way mean that this is someone who was there involved with anything. It means someone who knows they're going to get in trouble if, if basically their superior officers, their captain or anybody finds out that they said this stuff. And one such one such thing has been the became a citizen on the September 11th thing. Maybe that's true. Maybe this is just a made for Hollywood scenario, and everything's just that ironic. But maybe it's not true. Maybe it's just some crazy thing that somebody heard from somebody who heard from somebody, and they told it to a reporter, and the reporter ran with it, and then everybody from that Boston local source has been disseminating that. But we don't question it the same way that we don't care that this kid was deprived of Miranda rights. So, we don't care if First Amendment rights are violated, if it's Occupy protesters. We don't care if Second Amendment rights are violated, if it's those crazy hilljack gun nuts. We don't care if Fourth Amendment's violated, if it's in search for a terrorist who must be the terrorist because we're told that that's the case. Uh, we don't care if it's the NDAA because Obama's a cool guy, and if it was Bush, we'd be up in arms. But whatever. Let's just not talk about NDAA. So why would we care about the Fifth Amendment? Why would we care about the fact that this individual has the right to remain silent? Uh, well, we're telling him he doesn't have the right to remain silent, just like we tell people who are brought before federal grand juries that they don't have the right to remain silent. So this is all a gradual, slippery slope where human rights, which are human rights not because they're enshrined in the Bill of Rights, but they're enshrined in the Bill of Rights because they're natural rights, they're natural human rights, where human rights are slowly eroded until basically what we have is a soft core police state. Anyway, everybody's talking about there was this shootout. I see no evidence of it. There's a picture of the kid uh, in the boat or getting standing up out of the boat. There's no sign of any gun. The guy, when he found the kid in his boat, uh, said he got up on a ladder and looked. He made no mention of a gun. He saw a kid who was basically passed out, a kid who didn't even notice him looking at him when he lifted up the tarp. The kid didn't notice him. So this was a kid who was basically on the edge of death. Um, he was not engaged in a shootout with the cops, and that's why the cops told the other cops to hold their fire. If you look at the cell phone video of this shootout, you'll see dozens, maybe hundreds of rounds fired from the cops. Um, is This is just trigger happy cops, just like with the Chris Dorner thing, shooting up innocent people. I'm not saying this kid was innocent. Um, I tend to believe that he was involved in the terror stuff. I don't know in what capacity, but that's why we have courts of law. That's why we don't have cops who are judge, jury, and executioner. And ideally, that's why we have a critically minded public who isn't okay with that and doesn't just say, "Well, who cares?" You know, it's this Chechen Al Qaeda kid. Um, you know, most Americans don't even know what Chechnya is. They didn't even know that there were white Muslims. They didn't know that there were, you know, they wouldn't know Bosnian Muslims from a Chechen Muslim. They wouldn't even know that there's Muslims here. There was a funny Onion article to this point yesterday that said most Americans not informed enough to form stereotypes against Chechens, and it's totally true. You've got a virtually brain dead public who is watching this stuff on the news and just believing anything that they're told. So anyway, just when you watch this stuff, don't talk about some shootout or whatever if you don't see any evidence of it. And so far, I haven't seen evidence of that. I haven't seen evidence of anything of them hurling bombs. Like they just had these huge bombs that they're hurling out the window, and what they set the timer to. I mean, these were timer bombs. They set the timer for 5 seconds to explode when it hit the police car. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is video game stuff. But an anonymous law enforcement source tells one TV channel reporter, and they tell everybody, and then everybody reposts it on Facebook like it's, you know, whatever, the gospel of the United States, the gospel of Americana, of patriotism. And if you look at these throngs of crowds, it's just as disgusting as after 9/11 with these morons chanting USA, USA. I mean, give me a break.